Hi guys, so The Outer Worlds is finally here, and from many reviews it looks like this game is everything we expected and more. A single player RPG with a huge emphasis on comprehensive dialogue, player choice and replayability. Speaking of which, in this video we are going to be taking a look at 10 playthrough ideas that you definitely need to try in The Outer Worlds. Now some of these are going to be generic playstyles, others more specific, and one to do with a difficulty setting. As usual, before we start, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you want to show your support and help this channel grow. Anyway, let's get started. Right, so let's start off strong with number one, which is a companion focused playthrough. One of the things The Outer Worlds made a point of before release was the importance of companions, the sheer number of them and how they have both complicated and interesting backstories. Many reviews of the game have mentioned that if you don't take a companion, you are missing out on one of the game's many strengths. If you have multiple companions, they will actually interact with one another and will often interject during conversations with NPCs. They even help you to pass speech checks with specific factions, for example, if they have a reputation or connections with that particular company. So companions play a big part in The Outer Worlds, and having a playthrough dedicated to companions is definitely worth trying out. Companions are actually useful in fights, unlike in some games, so you could have very poor gun skills, then let your companions do all the work. Each companion also has a special move that when activated, your camera will move and you can see them performing a huge hammer slam or a drop kick to the face. On the flip side of a companion playthrough, the second playstyle you must try is a lone wolf. Similar to the Fallout franchise, The Outer Worlds starts you off as a nobody, the stranger, giving you the chance to be anybody you want to be. Without giving the story away, you are an outsider on this new planet, and being a lone wolf would definitely fit nicely with this mysterious backstory. Being a lone wolf definitely has its advantages, not having to worry about your companions, only looking out for yourself. This is a perfect playstyle if you're going to be a sneak build like a silent assassin. The only disadvantage, of course, is that it could be lonely, but sometimes that sense of being the only one can make games like this feel special. Playstyle idea number 3 is a mad scientist. So one of the characters you meet at the start of the game has this type of persona, but because of everything that The Outer Worlds offers, it makes a mad scientist playthrough fit perfectly. So of course this game is set in a sci-fi world, but the biggest reason to play as this type of character is the science weapons that you can find in the game. So these are really wacky weapons that have some really awesome effects. So you have this gun that shoots a massive blue puddle that lifts enemies into the air. There is also a mind control gun and even a shrink ray. A mad scientist fits into The Outer Worlds seamlessly, and it also gives you room to choose a combination of good and evil choices without it being unrealistic to the character. Keeping on the theme of weapons, playthrough idea 4 is a melee build. So this is a type of character I'm sure we all have played at some point, whether that be in Fallout or Skyrim, but being a melee focused character in The Outer Worlds looks a hell of a lot of fun. There are a plethora of awesome looking melee weapons in The Outer Worlds, like this scythe for example. Not only are there a lot of melee weapons, they also come in a few variations, each with their own unique effects. Melee builds are also great for early game combat, as they usually do a considerable amount of damage as long as you can get close enough to your enemy. So I'm going to get this next one out of the way quickly, but of course the two most likely playthroughs we will all do initially is either an all good or all evil character. If you're like me, you probably can't help yourself playing the good guy initially. I guess we always want to feel like we're doing the right thing. I'm always in the mindset of what would I do that is morally right in this situation, and it always makes you feel good to be the hero saving the day. Being completely evil of course doesn't mean killing everyone in sight, it just means you can have a lot of fun choosing dialogue options that gets you on the bad side of people, and is just in general nasty to everyone they meet, and it's just in it for personal gains. Having said all of this, The Outer World has many choices that will make you question your moral compass, so perhaps being entirely good or entirely bad is something that is very difficult to achieve without prior knowledge of your consequences. As many of your decisions will impact the game world, if you do something positive for one faction, it is likely another one will disapprove. Springing off the good and evil characters, this next playthrough idea takes an evil character to the next level, and this is a kill everything playthrough. So obviously this doesn't need any explanation. You see something and then you have to exterminate it immediately. We are in a fortunate position with the Outer Worlds as the game allows for this type of playstyle. From what may seem an easy task initially, at the beginning you may struggle taking down characters that have much better weapons than you, so considering how you build your character is very important. A kill everything playthrough will be very interesting to see how things play out, what will happen in the end. So playthrough idea 7 is a complete contrast to the previous one, and this is a pacifist playthrough. This one is probably one of the most tricky things to achieve, but if you build your character in a very charismatic way, you will be able to talk your way out of certain situations. The interesting thing about a pacifist playthrough is working out how to get round things. Investing in sneak and speech are probably sensible ideas, but depending on the rules you give yourself, you could use companions to your advantage, and also luring one group of enemies into another so they can fight one another might be another effective strategy. So playthrough idea 8 is about what we just touched on, and that is a charisma focused playstyle. So as with most RPGs, speech checks are in abundance, and by passing them you are able to unlock unique sections of dialogue, resolve a situation without violence, get you better deals at traders, and manipulate others into doing what you want. Charisma is always a powerful tool, but with the Outer Worlds being heavily focused on dialogue, particularly in the first quarter of the game, having a character that can get around all these speech checks will be very fun and interesting in my opinion. The last two playthrough ideas on this list I feel are the two most interesting. Number 9 is a SUPERNOVA playthrough. For those of you who don't know, SUPERNOVA is a game mode that is very similar to Hardcore mode from Fallout New Vegas. So this is the hardest level of difficulty that not only ramps up the health and damage of all enemies, but adds lots of other features to the game that make playing the Outer Worlds more fun and challenging. I'm not going to go through everything in this video, just mention a couple of the big changes. As you'd expect, the first thing that SUPERNOVA adds is player needs. So you are going to have to eat, drink and sleep to stay alive. Then of course fast travel is limited, so you are only going to be able to fast travel to your ship, nowhere else, and the only place you can sleep is on your ship. The final big thing to note is that your companions can permanently die, so you can't just send them in guns blazing all the time. I personally love these types of features. I like having my game more realistic, I like the challenge, and I find it more fun when you really have to plan what to take on a quest, be aware of carry weight, and it's always scary when you know your companions can actually die. This is a playthrough I am definitely going to be doing at some point. The final playstyle idea is a permadeath playthrough. Now this is actually something I have never tried before, surprisingly, but this again makes you play the game carefully and strategically. So what a permadeath playthrough means is that you play the game as normal, but if you die, that's it for the character. You have to stop playing and delete the save. Especially if you combine this with SUPERNOVA mode enabled, you can really make the Outer Worlds a very challenging game indeed. I like that a permadeath playthrough really makes you think about your decisions, particularly when it comes to combat situations. In most cases you'll probably want to talk your way out of them or find another way round. Out of all the playthroughs on this list, I think this one is my favourite. Anyway guys, that's about it for this video. I hope you found these playstyle ideas interesting. Let me know in the comments what your first playthrough is going to be. Are you going to be a crazy scientist, an evil psychopath, or generally good character trying to help everyone they can? Other than that guys, remember to subscribe and I shall see you in the next one. Okay, thanks guys, bye.